Africa is one of the richest places on Earth. Not rich in theory, not rich in potential, rich in reality. The continent holds massive reserves of gold, oil, diamonds, cobalt, lithium, uranium, and fertile land. Nearly every major global industry, from smartphones to electric cars, depends on African resources. Yet somehow, millions of Africans still struggle with poverty, unemployment, weak infrastructure, unstable electricity, and collapsing systems. So the question becomes disturbing. How can the richest continent in natural resources remain one of the poorest in living conditions? The answer begins centuries ago. When European powers arrived in Africa, they didn't come to build nations. They came to extract wealth. Colonial governments designed African economies for one purpose only: take raw materials out as fast as possible. Railways were not built to connect Africans to opportunities. They were built to move minerals from mines to ports. Borders were drawn carelessly, splitting ethnic groups apart and forcing rival communities into artificial countries. Traditional systems were destroyed. Local industries were crushed. By the time many African nations gained independence in the 1950s and 1960s, the damage was already deep. The political flags changed, but the economic system remained almost the same. Africa still exported raw materials cheaply, while richer nations processed them, manufactured products, and sold them back at enormous profits. Take cobalt, for example. A huge percentage of the world's cobalt, used in electric car batteries and smartphones, comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Children dig for minerals in dangerous mines, while billion-dollar tech companies grow richer from the final products. The people closest to the wealth often benefit the least. And then came another problem: corruption. In many African countries, political elites inherited systems built for extraction, not development. Instead of rebuilding those systems for ordinary people, some leaders used national wealth to enrich themselves. Oil money disappeared. Foreign aid vanished. Public funds were stolen. Meanwhile, roads remained broken. Hospitals lacked equipment. Schools collapsed. In some countries, leaders became richer than entire regions they governed. But corruption alone is not the full story. Foreign corporations and powerful countries still play a massive role. Many multinational companies extract African resources while paying extremely low royalties and taxes. Some shift profits overseas. Others negotiate deals so unfair that local populations see almost no benefit. It's a modern version of extraction, less visible than colonialism, but often just as damaging. And whenever African leaders attempt to take stronger control of resources, they can face sanctions, foreign pressure, political destabilization, or economic isolation. The global system rewards dependence. Africa exports raw cocoa. Europe sells chocolate. Africa exports crude oil. Other countries refine it and sell fuel back for profit. Africa exports raw cotton, then imports expensive finished clothing. The continent supplies the world's raw power, while remaining trapped at the bottom of the value chain. But despite everything, Africa is not a hopeless continent. In fact, some African countries are beginning to challenge this cycle. Young entrepreneurs are building tech companies. Local industries are growing. New generations are demanding accountability. African nations are discussing trade partnerships within the continent itself, instead of depending entirely on foreign markets. The future of Africa may depend on one critical shift: not just owning resources, but controlling the industries built around them. Because true wealth is not in digging resources from the ground. True wealth comes from processing, manufacturing, innovation, education, and strong institutions. The tragedy of Africa is not that the continent lacks wealth. It's that for centuries, too many systems were designed to move that wealth outward instead of inward. And until that changes, Africa may continue feeding the world. While many Africans remain excluded from the prosperity built from their own land. But history is not finished yet. The next chapter of Africa may be the one where the continent finally keeps the wealth it was always meant to own. Africa's story isn't over. and the next chapter could change the world. Subscribe for more hidden realities.